Lisa, are you available right now? I have something I need to tell you.
Oh, Mac? I'm on the train at the moment, so if it's just you texting me, I can reply. What's going on? It's pretty rare for you to contact me at this time of day.
I had to leave work early. Something urgent came up and I didn't have a choice.
What happened? Are you okay?
It's, Hannah. She left the house.
Wait, what? Hannah just left?
While I was at work, I received a message that made me panic. I ended up leaving work earlier than planned. When I got home, there were divorce papers sitting on the table. On top of that, she left a note saying that my parents already understood and supported her decision about the divorce.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, but obviously that wasn't true. I called my parents right away and they completely denied it. They were shocked and said there's no way they would ever support something like that. So I thought it was time for me to contact you about this.
I see. Well, that makes sense. It would have been strange if they were actually okay with it.
After that, I tried calling Hannah's phone multiple times, but I couldn't get through. She won't answer at all. Since you're at the same company as her, I thought you might have noticed something about her behavior or know what's going on.
I'm really sorry, Mac. I actually took the afternoon off today, so I wasn't in the office.
I see. Could you try messaging her for me then?
I could, but I'm not exactly close with Hannah, right? We're in completely different departments and we hardly interact even when I'm at work. To be honest, I'm not sure she'd even respond if I reached out.
That's fine. I just need to know anything at all. Even if it's small, her mood, her reaction, anything. Please let me know if you manage to get in touch with her.
All right, I'll give it a try. Hannah, hello. Where are you right now? Oh, Lisa. Did Mac reach out to you? Yes, he told me you left the house and left divorce papers behind. He seemed really upset. What's going on? Why did you do something so drastic all of a sudden? Well, from Mac's perspective, I suppose it might look sudden. But for me, this wasn't something that just happened out of nowhere. To be honest, I've started seeing someone else. What? Are you serious? Yes, I know what you're thinking. I can guess exactly what's going through your mind right now. But let me make one thing perfectly clear. I haven't taken things too far with him. There's nothing physical going on between us yet. I'm very aware of the boundaries I need to respect. Then why? Because I don't want to drag him into something messy. If I were to stay in this marriage while deepening my relationship with him, it would only bring him unnecessary trouble. That's why I've decided to keep things between us purely emotional for now. It's not ideal, but it's the right thing to do under the circumstances. I'm sorry, but I still don't understand. How could you just leave Mac like that? I left a letter for Mac explaining everything. I also asked him to submit the divorce papers by the end of the day. You really think it's that simple? Divorce isn't something you can decide and settle in a single day. I know it's complicated, but I've made up my mind. I'm hoping that Mac will understand eventually. Honestly, I know this will be uncomfortable for you two since we work together. I hope it won't make things awkward between us. If you could continue treating me the same way at work, I'd really appreciate it. Hannah, I think you owe Mac a proper explanation. Don't you think you should sit down and talk to him face to face before making such a life-changing decision? Lisa, I know you're just trying to help, but having a conversation with Mac isn't going to change anything. My decision is final. As far as I'm concerned, when the clock strikes midnight tonight, I'll be single again. And once that happens, I'll be free to truly be with him. Hannah, you can't be serious. Divorce isn't something you can just push through in a single day because you've decided you're done. It's far more complicated than that. Lisa, you're still single. Of course you wouldn't understand the complexities of marriage and what I'm going through. I don't expect you to. Anyway, I really need to get going. He's waiting for me. Hannah, wait, please, just listen for a moment. Mac, I talked to one of our coworkers in her department during work hours to see if they'd seen or heard anything. Apparently, she didn't show up to work today. After that, I sent her a message, and luckily she responded, so we ended up talking.
Really? What did she say? What's going on?
Well, it's a bit complicated. I'll try to explain it, but honestly, it felt like one of those situations where you just think, oh no, this is bad.
What do you mean by that? What did she tell you?
She mentioned that she's seeing someone else.
She said that to you?
Yeah, I'll send you a screenshot of our conversation later so you can see the exact wording, but from what she said, it sounds like things haven't gone too far yet. She told me that she's been holding back because she knows that it would cause a lot of trouble if they crossed any serious lines right now.
I see. So she's trying to rationalize it? Either way, it's still cheating, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, there's no way around that. It's definitely a betrayal. But there's something that's been bothering me. I can't help but feel like there might be more to this, or maybe less, depending on how you look at it.
What do you mean, more or less?
It's hard to explain. This is just my gut feeling, so please don't take it as absolute, but I'm not entirely convinced that Hannah's actually cheating in the way you're thinking.
What? What do you mean by that?
Okay, so during our conversation, she kept going on about how this other relationship is all about a connection of the heart for now. And honestly, the way she said it struck me as odd. It reminded me of the kind of thing you hear from someone who might be overthinking things or getting caught up in their own imagination.
You mean she's delusional?
Well, maybe that's too strong a word, but think about it. Remember how you once told me that Hannah tends to get carried away with her own assumptions? You said that sometimes she has a hard time distinguishing her own perceptions from reality.
Yeah, I remember mentioning that.
And don't forget the whole misunderstanding with your parents. She thought they were on board with her decision to leave, but when you talked to them, it turns out they had no idea what she was talking about. That was a pretty big leap on her part, don't you think?
You're right. That situation should have been a red flag.
Exactly, and then there's the stuff that happened back when you two got engaged. Didn't she cause some kind of misunderstanding with one of your junior colleagues?
Oh yeah, that was a mess. She thought they were saying something about her behind her back, but it turned out she'd completely misinterpreted the situation. It caused a lot of unnecessary drama.
Right, so this might be another case of her jumping to conclusions or getting swept up in her own ideas. At work, too.
What about at work? Go ahead, you can tell me.
Well, Hannah has this reputation among some of the staff. People have told me that she seems to think she's more attractive or desirable than she really is. It's caused some awkward situations. A couple of coworkers even came to me for advice because they didn't know how to handle her behavior.
I didn't realize it was that bad. I'm sorry she put you in that position.
It's okay, really, and don't worry about me.
Still, it feels like this might be part of a pattern. After the incident with your junior colleague, she apologized and promised she'd learned her lesson. I decided to let it go because I believed her when she said it wouldn't happen again. But I made it very clear that if something like this happened a second time, there wouldn't be any more chances.
Well, that makes sense, and I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. Like I said, this is just my perspective. If it turns out I'm completely wrong, I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. Honestly, you've given me something to think about. I've been so panicked about everything that I wouldn't have even considered this possibility on my own. What you've said is helping me calm down and think more clearly.
I'm glad to hear that.
By the way, aren't you on a trip with Fred right now?
Oh, yeah, Fred had a business trip earlier this week and it just ended today. After he finished work, we met up here. We're planning on spending the weekend sightseeing together.
I see. I'm sorry for dragging you into this when you're supposed to be relaxing. I completely forgot you were away when I reached out. Fred doesn't seem annoyed by all this, does he?
No, not at all. Don't worry about it. Fred works with us, so he knows how complicated things can get. He's been really understanding about the whole situation. If anything else comes up, don't hesitate to contact me, okay?
Thank you. I really appreciate it, and please tell Fred I said hi.
I will, and Mac, try to stay calm, okay?
I'll do my best. Thanks, Lisa.
Lisa, what's going on? Wait, Hannah? What do you mean, what's going on? You're with my boyfriend? What on earth do you think you're doing? Huh? I'm with my boyfriend, Fred, right now. What's the problem? What are you talking about? Fred is my boyfriend. Huh? I even heard him talking to his boss today. He was confirming that his business trip finishes on Friday, so he plans to meet me at the location and we'll spend the weekend sightseeing together. He got approval from the company to do this, so that's why I'm here. But then I saw you checking into the inn with Fred. Explain this. Wait, hold on. Hannah, are you saying that Fred was your target all along? Target? What are you talking about? Fred isn't the kind of person to cheat. He has no intention of being involved with you in any way. What? Are you saying you are the one he's cheating with? Huh? Well, once today is over, I'll be officially divorced, so I'm willing to overlook this for now. But you'd better return my Fred to me quickly. Look, Hannah, Fred and I have been together for almost 4 years now. We started dating shortly after we both joined the company. Huh? I recently introduced Fred to my parents as someone I'm considering marrying, and I've also met his family. Recently? You mean last Sunday? Yes, last Sunday. Come to think of it, Hannah, you came to my house uninvited while I was away for about 30 minutes to pick up my paycheck, right? Well... Fred just told me that when he came to my place and saw how surprised you were, he told you, I've come to ask for permission to date Hannah, and then suddenly you started squirming and sat next to him? Well... Fred still can't make sense of what happened, but he's still confused about it. So was this just another case of one of your misunderstandings? Misunderstandings? But Fred said Hannah, even though I'm not related to him, but I'm like a real partner to him and his family. Wouldn't you think he was referring to me, his real partner, not you? But think about this carefully, okay? If Fred were dating you and wanted to introduce himself to his parents, my parents, who would be your in-laws, would have no reason to meet you at all. Well, I thought he was asking for my permission to divorce my husband so he could be with you, but since he couldn't confront him directly, he might have been trying to smooth things over with my parents first. Maybe he was trying to soften the situation and create a less direct approach. So is this the kind of wild imagination you've come up with? Honestly, it doesn't make any sense at all. Then, what about this trip? This trip was planned by Fred so we could travel together. It has nothing to do with you. What? No. This is a disaster. I left the divorce papers for Mac. What do I do now if this leads to a divorce? About that, as soon as I realized the misunderstanding during this conversation, I immediately informed Mac. Right now, he's probably on his way to City Hall with the divorce papers. No way. And Mac left me a message. He said, I can't deal with your misunderstandings anymore. I'm leaving today and will pack my things. I'll transfer half of the assets into your account by tomorrow. I won't ask for alimony, but stay away from me from now on. Lisa, pick up. I can't reach Mac's phone. He probably blocked you. What? No, stop it. I'm really sorry, but Fred and I both find your advances unwelcome. Please refrain from contacting us from now on. No, you're telling me to stay away after all I've done for you? What have you done for me, Lisa? Tell me, what exactly have you done? I've always been there for you when you were struggling with Mac, when you were unsure about your decisions. I was the one who offered advice. I always listened, didn't I? You came to me for help when you had doubts. How can you just throw all that away? This isn't about what you did for me. It's about what's right and what's happening now. You've crossed a line, Lisa. You've betrayed my trust and gone behind my back. Betrayed your trust? Are you serious? You were the one who was always indecisive. You couldn't even make a decision on whether or not to stay with Mac. You kept asking me for advice, but now you're acting like you've got everything figured out. This is ridiculous. I figured it out now. I know what I want, and it's not someone who undermines me or tries to manipulate me. Manipulate? What are you talking about? I have never manipulated you. I've always tried to help you. If I didn't care about you, I would have walked away a long time ago. But no, I stayed because I thought you needed someone to lean on. Well, guess what? I don't need you anymore. I may still have Fred. I don't need someone who treats me like a backup plan, someone who makes my life harder just because they don't know what they want. You think Fred is the answer to everything? You think he's the one who's going to fix all your problems? Well, that's never going to happen because as you've seen, he is done with you. I know Fred. He's real. He's been with me through thick and thin. Unlike you, he doesn't cause drama every time something goes wrong. So I'm positive he's not answering my calls because he's really busy with something else. All right, Hannah, say whatever you'd like about Fred and I, but just know that if you continue to try and call and text us, we're going to block you just like Mac. Now please stop texting me. It's truly impressive how much someone could misunderstand everything like this. Hannah's department had an overwhelmingly male-to-female ratio of 9-to-1, and it seems like this situation led to some of the misunderstandings among the people there. This was based on a conversation with Fred, who worked in the same department as Hannah. Fred mentioned that there was a tendency for certain individuals in the office to become confused about the nature of their relationships and intentions, especially when the environment was so heavily skewed in favor of men. Apparently, there were also frequent comments from Hannah that seemed to hint at her being overly popular among her male colleagues. She often said things along the lines of, "It's so tough, I'm just too popular and the guys are constantly chasing after me." Such remarks were clearly attention-seeking, but it seemed to further fuel the misunderstandings that already existed. People around her might have interpreted these comments in various ways, and before she knew it, a bizarre scenario had formed in her mind, a delusion that there was some sort of inevitable competition going on for her affection. She began to believe that the men in her office were secretly fighting over her, competing for her attention behind the scenes. The situation took an even stranger turn when Fred visited my parents' house. This event seemed to perfectly align with the timing of Hannah's delusions about the so-called battle over her. Fred's visit to my family home must have been the moment when her fantasy became a reality in her mind. She imagined that Fred had somehow emerged victorious in this imaginary contest for her affection, and from that point on, she convinced herself that Fred was the winner of the battle for her love. To make matters more complicated, Hannah had been through a divorce by this point. She had left her job and returned to her family's house in the countryside. The divorce was a difficult experience for her, and she sought solace by retreating back to her rural home, far away from the bustling city. However, her troubles didn't end there. 2 years later, she found herself embroiled in yet another spectacular misunderstanding, this time with the influential figures of her hometown. The misunderstanding escalated to the point where it severely impacted her standing in the local community. Hannah became the subject of widespread gossip, and soon the entire village turned against her. Her family, feeling the pressure from the situation, became estranged from her, and they made the decision to cut ties to her. They effectively excommunicated her, and Hannah had no choice but to leave and relocate somewhere else, further removed from her previous life and connections. It seems that the misunderstanding, which had initially started as a trivial delusion, spiraled out of control and had lasting consequences for Hannah's life. What had started as a casual daydream of being pursued by the men in her office transformed into a full-blown fantasy that affected her personal relationships. Eventually, these delusions created such a rapture in her life that she became alienated from the people who were once close to her. It's fascinating how one small misunderstanding can snowball into such a massive and irreversible situation. If she hadn't spun this web of imaginary love and competition, perhaps her life might have turned out differently. But instead, she found herself caught in a self-made trap with no clear way out. Fred, who was also involved in this strange turn of events, must have found it just as bizarre as anyone else. He had no intentions of being part of any such competition. His visit to my family home was purely innocent, yet it had become a catalyst for Hannah's distorted interpretation of reality. As much as it seems that the situation was beyond his control, Fred couldn't escape the fallout from Hannah's increasingly erratic behavior. His involvement in the story made it even more complicated than it already was. Looking back at the whole situation, it seems like a series of unfortunate coincidences. The office dynamics, the comments about being too popular, Fred's visit to the family home, and Hannah's personal turmoil all collided to create a chaotic sequence of events. One misunderstanding led to another, and before long, it seemed like everyone involved was caught up in a web of confusion and speculation. Hannah's final fall from grace came when she was effectively ostracized by her hometown community. It was a harsh reality for someone who had once been a part of the close-knit village, but the weight of the misunderstandings and the rumors that followed her actions were too much to bear. Her attempt to rebuild her life in a small town turned into a complete disaster, and she ended up moving away in search of a fresh start. In the end, it's a story of how things can easily go awry when people misinterpret actions or words, especially when they're already predisposed to creating fantasies in their minds. Hannah, like so many others before her, found herself trapped by her own illusions, and those around her suffered because of it. Fred, for his part, might never have understood the full extent of the role he played in this bizarre turn of events, but it was clear that his simple visit to my family home had inadvertently become the spark that ignited Hannah's delusions. As for Hannah now, who knows where she is or what she's doing. Her life seems to have taken a sharp detour, and it's unlikely that she'll ever return to the life she once had. The combination of misunderstandings, misplaced beliefs, and emotional struggles left her isolated and alone, a cautionary tale for anyone who finds themselves caught up in their own delusions. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.